So now I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Melis Broderick. She is a recruiter with Arthrex, and she's going to tell you all kinds of things about interviewing and about Arthrex as well. Great company. So I'm going to go off screen, and I'm going to let you take over.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Diana. And hello, everyone. Really excited to be here. My name is Melise Broderick, a Senior Talent Acquisition Specialist here at Arthrex, and excited to share with you all some more information about our company and then also dive into some interviewing success tips and tricks from what I've seen in my career so far within recruiting. So, a little bit about me before we get started. I am a Florida native, originally from Fort Lauderdale, and I started my career journey by getting a lacrosse scholarship to Stetson University in DeLand, Florida. And then I ended up transferring to FGCU my junior year and continued my lacrosse career there within college and ended up pursuing a communications degree with a concentration in public relations. And so thankful that I ended up making that transfer to FGCU because that's how I learned about Arthrex. Was actually through one of my classes in college. And, with me being a student athlete and with, Arthrex and their mission and what they do within sports medicine, it really resonated with me. And I ended up starting with the company as an intern my senior year. And now excited to announce that later this month, I'm about to hit 10 years with the company. So have definitely done the full circle from, student to full-time conversion, and now really excited to be in a role where I assist with college relations and hiring students for our program. So it's a really great full circle moment and have really enjoyed my time with the company so far. So, for those of you on the call that are not familiar with Arthrex, just wanted to share some information. So, Arthrex would not be where it is today without this man in the photo. This is our president and founder, Reinhold Schmieding, and he started this company 45 years ago in 1981 in Munich, Germany, and has been committed to our mission, which is helping surgeons treat their patients better. So, Arthrex has always remained a privately held company, and we are a global medical device company that specializes in orthopedics and sports medicine. And with us being privately held, it allows for the rapid evolution of new technologies and ideas and the freedom to develop products and techniques that really make a difference in people's lives. And as you can see in the photo on that simple drafting table, this is where Reinhold developed his first ideas for arthroscopic instruments at a time where arthroscopy was still in its infancy in the surgical field. And this table actually still stands in his office today at our headquarters in Naples, Florida, just to remind him of his humble beginnings. So today at Arthrex, we're recognized as a global leader in sports medicine and minimally invasive orthopedics. And we're excited to expand our product portfolio to specialties now including cardiothoracic surgery, endoscopy, and treating wounds successfully with our orthobiologic side. So, in the future, with our technology, we will become a full service trauma company that treats bone fractures, ligaments, cartilage, soft tissue injuries in novel and less invasive ways. And as you can see, we developed 25,000 plus product innovations within these different product portfolios that you see here on this slide. So, basically, anything that you can think sports medicine, orthopedics, we have different medical devices and surgical tools to assist with those injuries. Another unique thing about Arthrex is not only do we do the full product life cycle from designing, testing, and manufacturing our own medical devices, is we also have the biggest medical education side in this field. So, in order to support these education efforts, at Arthrex, we offer cadaver lab trainings for surgeons, sales representatives, and other healthcare professionals in the field to give them an opportunity to gain hands-on experience with our products in a mock OR setting. So that way they yield the best results for our patients, and then we also get their feedback to help enhance, future product innovations. So we like to call our labs the Arthro Lab, and it's one of our largest cadaveric training facilities in the world and has recently expanded to include over 100 cadaveric workstations. And we also have an Arthro Lab facility at our Germany office, and it offers 41 workstations. These labs are paired with product showcases and are integrated, OR suites, so that way it gives a comprehensive learning experience whether you're on campus or if we come to you. So, a little bit about our campuses. Our Arthrex global headquarters is located in Naples, Florida, and it's an atmosphere of rapid product innovation, medical research, and surgeon collaboration. The Arthrex Global Campus includes Arthrex One, which is our 6-story building, accommodates most Naples campus employees, and provides ample event and meeting space for guests and visitors that we have. We also have the Innovation Hotel with 169 modern guest rooms for visiting healthcare practitioners and Arthrex business guests that come to our campus. And lastly, we also have Studio X, which is a building that offers advanced media production technology with interactive medical education resources. And lately, Studio X has also been used as a strategic planning center for future surgical centers. So we're really excited about that. We also proudly manufacture, assemble, and package our own products here in the US. And our manufacturing network includes Arthrex Manufacturing South Carolina in Pendleton, Arthrex Manufacturing East in Ave Maria, which is nearby our headquarters facility in Naples, Florida. And we also have our Arthrex California Technology in Santa Barbara, which some of you on the call may be familiar with. This facility is actually very close to UCSB, and we come on campus a lot for career fairs. So each facility plays a critical role in our ability to innovate and deliver high quality products effectively to different hospitals, which will ultimately affect our patients and make sure that they have a better outcome. So one thing I always like to highlight is it's important to know that we offer opportunities for students in all of our majors. A lot of people look at our company and they assume that only those with like an engineering or pre-med background can apply, but that is not the case. As you can see here on this screen, these are all the different types of departments and opportunities that we can offer. And even, coming from personal experience, I was a communications major and was able to find, kind of my home here at Arthrex to support our mission. So just wanted to share that if, medical device or this industry is something that interests you, but you're not in that engineering or pre-med background, there's definitely opportunities for you. So that's a little bit about our company. And then I just wanted to kind of go into the main agenda for today, which is about setting yourself up for success with interviewing. Every company is different, but this presentation today just kind of gives like general overview of some things to consider to really set yourself up for success no matter what industry that you're interviewing for. So we'll go through interview prep, the different type of interviews that you might encounter, how to dress appropriately if it's an on-site interview, how to anticipate certain questions that will come your way from the employer, and then we'll definitely end with some Q&A, or if you have any questions in the chat, feel free to add those, and Diana can assist me through the presentation and ask those questions as we go. So whatever works best for the group, we can go from there. So preparing for an interview. So depending on the amount of time you have prior to your interview, there are definitely some key aspects to draw your attention before you dive into a meeting with your interviewer or interviewers. Definitely start with what you applied to. Make sure you know the position, what the requirements are, and read that description thoroughly because the employer will expect you to know what exactly the position entails and why you were interested in applying to that role. The interview is the beginning of a professional relationship, so you just want to make sure that you're in alignment with the company and understand their mission and all the different parties involved and what they're trying to accomplish. Also, the industry is important, so really knowing what line of work the employer is involved in and making sure that that's aligned with your values and what you would like to do as well. And then also, who are you? At the end of the day, every new opportunity brings development for you as an interviewee. So, in your interview, it's important to acknowledge that what you can bring to the table, how you can help that employer work towards their goals, and how hiring you will benefit them in the long run. So, really understanding what the employer and the role entails and how you feel with your skill sets, you can bring a positive impact to the table. So, that's the best way to prepare for an interview. Then kind of going into the different types of interviews. So there's a lot of different types of formats out there. This is just a general overview of what you may see, and then I can kind of quickly go through at least what we do here at Arthrex and how our interview process goes. So for formatting, there could be a phone interview with the recruiter. You might have another phone interview with the hiring manager. Some companies like to do straight to virtual or video interview, either through Zoom or Microsoft Teams. Most of the interviews that I've been a part of have been live, where we ask you the questions live and take down your answers. But I do know some companies also like to do a pre-recorded for submission. So sometimes when you apply to a role, it'll have a link to a video platform where you'll answer some pre-screening questions on camera and then submit that video for the recruiter to review before they move you on to a formal interview process with the manager. And then usually like the last form of an interview process once you get through the phone and or virtual formats is an on-site interview where you actually come on site to the campus, meet with the recruiter, the hiring manager, and the teams in person, really get to make those connections, see the campus, see the work environment. And that typically is kind of like the end of your candidate journey through an interview process. So with these different formats, there's also different types of interviews. So you can do individual one-on-one sessions, whether it's with the recruiter or with different team members. Some teams like to do like a panel committee interview where maybe you'll start off one-on-one with the manager, then go into a room with some members of the team and just talk to them all at once. And they kind of ask you like questions. There could be a group and like presentation style as well, where you go up and present on a certain topic that the recruiter or manager gives you. There could also be like case scenarios where they kind of give you a scenario that can happen in your role and you kind of talk through the group on how you would tackle that case. And then there's also a technical interview, which this is kind of more for technical roles, of course, especially like software engineering. I've seen this where they'll kind of give you a technical case, and while you're on the call with them, you'll try and solve it with different programs or kind of give them your thought process on how you would handle it. So those are all the different types of interviews. And I will say every company is different. Some of them use all of these. Some of them only use a few. Like for example, at Arthrex, typically our format is depending on the role, you'll start off with either a phone interview or Microsoft Teams video interview with the recruiter. If that all goes well, then we'll move you on to the next phase, which is a phone and or Microsoft Teams video interview with the hiring manager. From there, the manager could choose to do another virtual interview with select people from the team as kind of more of like a technical interview. And then our process at Arthrex is we always close out the interview process with a candidate if they make it through those initial screens with an on-site interview at the campus where the position is located. And that's where the Innovation Hotel comes into play. If you're interviewing for positions at our headquarters facility, we've had candidates stay at that hotel on campus while they're on site for their interview. So just something to be prepared of. And definitely if you're doing any type of virtual interviewing, whether through Zoom or Microsoft Teams, we all know how technology can be. So one tip I would give is definitely make sure to test your technology before the interview. Maybe try logging on 15 to 20 minutes before to make sure your camera's set up, your audio is working, you're able to get into the link. So that way you have time to kind of get settled before that interview process starts. And you definitely want to dress to impress if you're coming on site for an interview, but also virtually as well. Because that's also, even though you're only showing maybe your waist up, dressing to impress really makes an impression even on video. So these are just some different types of examples of what casual, smart casual, business casual, and then business to formal looks like. Um, I will say most companies and at Arthrex, our dress code is business casual, but I would always recommend for an interview to dress more on the business formal side. And then always you can always ask the recruiter or the hiring manager, what the dress code is for that particular company that you're interviewing for. But I always say to err on the safer side and always dress to impress when you're interviewing for a company. And here are a few common questions that you might get and how you can explain to the interviewer who you are as a candidate and why you would be the best fit. So every employer is going to be different. They're going to have different questions, but definitely most of the time, what you're going to get is tell me a little bit about yourself. Can you walk me through your resume and qualifications? Can you tell me what it is about the position that interested you and made you want to apply? They might give you scenarios where they'll be like, tell me a time where there was, a problem within a team on a certain task. Like, how did you handle that? How did you communicate with your teammates? Things like that. So, just something to keep in mind before you start interviewing. These are kind of some questions that you can start to answer in your head ahead of time. So that way you're prepared. Employers may ask you, what are your goals as well? What are you looking to gain from the position? And then I know at Arthrex, we always ask, what do you know about us? Why do you want to work at Arthrex? Is always a big thing that our teams want to know, besides kind of getting into like the main requirements of the position. Preparing your responses. So essentially, during the interview, especially during your first interaction with the recruiter, it's going to be looking at your experiences as at a glance. So, being able to effectively communicate your resume and your cover letter and kind of finding those key components that you want to highlight will help start off, answering those questions very smoothly. And then also thinking of examples of related skills, tasks, and knowledge that we as the employer can benefit from. So, for example, when you're looking at the position and the job description, if you see certain requirements that the employer is looking for and you meet those requirements, being able to give an example of saying, I see on the posting that you guys are looking for someone with strong Excel skills. Here's an example of how I've used Excel to solve this problem, or have used it in this project or this internship, and how I can translate what I've done to this position. So definitely when you're looking at the description, look for common themes in the description. You can really see what's important to the employer through what they post, and try and use their language and key terms that are often repeated in the description. This could be for technical skills. If they're looking for certain software programs, you can keep highlighting that you have that. If they're looking for certain interpersonal skills like communication and teamwork, or strong presentation skills, being sure that you highlight that if that's something that you have highlighted on your resume, and kind of showing where you can fill those gaps that the team is looking for based on what they put in the description. So the job description is a great way to kind of prepare answers to a lot of questions that you're probably going to receive. So once you get through the interview process, answer all of the team's questions, the next step is definitely having a strong follow-up, because it just shows initiative, and it also shows that you're really interested in the company and position. So at the end of the interview, make sure you ask either your recruiter, the manager, or the last person that you're interviewing with what the next steps are in the process, so you can know when to expect communication on your candidacy and the decision. And I would always highly recommend following up the interview with gratitude. I know it really goes a long way with myself and managers when we receive like a handwritten thank you letter or even an email, just expressing, thanking us for our time for the interview, and even adding like a little personal touch that you gained from each conversation that you had with the interviewer if you email them directly. And we would recommend sending that within 48 hours so that it's fresh in the manager's mind, the conversation that they had with you, and receiving that follow up. And also would recommend connecting on LinkedIn just to kind of build your network, keep that connection with that employer as well, and kind of see what else that they're posting and promoting within their team. And then just wanted to highlight a little bit of like recommendation suggestions just from me personally, after, being in talent acquisition within, Arthrex for the past 10 years. Some things that I've noticed that have really set candidates apart is when you start your interview process to really do your research and find the why behind you want to join a company and organization, whether, it's their mission and what they do, the benefits that you see, what your career goals are, but those that really resonate with the company's mission and want to make that impact in helping surgeons treat patients, and really understanding what we do is a great way to kind of put your foot in the right direction as a candidate. Like we kind of talked about as well, being able to give concrete examples of how you can utilize a certain skill set that you have gained through your education, whether it's classes, clubs, projects, or even internships, work experience as well through school, from your resume and how you can utilize those skills to benefit the team and fill a gap that they're posting about for a certain position. And while you're interviewing, we want to make sure that we're getting a good sense for you as a person and your personality. And I know interviews can be really nerve-wracking sometimes. So just remember to take a deep breath, take your time to answer questions thoughtfully, and just remember that the people that are interviewing you are just people too. And we just genuinely want to have a conversation with you and get to know you. If you do start to get a little nervous, just take a deep breath, take your time to answer questions, and it'll get easier the more that you have conversations with people. And then lastly, don't be afraid to ask questions about the role that you're interviewing for, and definitely come prepared with questions that you want to ask for each interviewer. I've definitely received feedback before from managers and other interviewers where they're like, we had a great conversation, but they had no questions for me. So I wasn't sure how interested, they were, if they like really fully understand the position. So questions are a good thing, and don't be afraid to ask questions and get clarification because it just shows that you're really interested and want to gain a good understanding of what the teams are looking for. And then lastly, definitely use your resources. As you can see here, your university has really awesome resources that you guys can dive into while you're in school to really help yourself prep and get ready for interviewing, whether it's for internships or full-time opportunities. I know Diana just mentioned mock interviews. I think that's a great event that you guys should utilize to kind of get those pre-interview jitters out. So that way, when you start interviewing, you feel comfortable and can get feedback. So definitely wanted to highlight some of these resources that Diana has provided in your university that you can use right now. And then I also wanted to share this QR code here. So based on our conversation today, if you're really interested in Arthrex and the opportunities that we have to offer, we have a really great internship co-op program, and we have internships at our Santa Barbara facility over the summers. We're going to start recruiting for spring and summer 2027 coming up end of August. So if you just want to scan this QR code on your screen and check out our website at careers.arthrex.com, you can see all of our full-time and internship opportunities there, and would highly encourage you to apply if you're interested.